Hi all, the Chess Olympiad has very good, interesting games. Let's have a look at another game now from round 5. Alexey Shirov, who's been called Fire on Board for his book, Fire on Board. Very exciting, attacking, imaginative player. He's really up against it here, playing a world top 20 player, Rapport. So this matchup was on board 1 of the Latvia against Hungary match. So Hungary, Rapport 2752 on board 1, and then they had friends Burkis 2640 on board 2, Zoltan Almazi on board 3, and Saba Balu on board 4. So that's the Hungary team. The Latvian team, okay, so Alexey Shirov playing board 1, he's 2673. You have Igor Kovalenko on board 2, 2651. Arturs Nikans 2628. Vladimir Sveshnikov on board 4. IM, there's an IM Sveshnikov called Sveshnikov. Not, I don't think it's the actual Sveshnikov as in Sicilian Sveshnikov, but yeah, very strong matchup, these two teams. So this is let's have a look at the game. E4 from the Latvian Alexey Shirov. E5. We go into a Steinitz defense. So this is like going into the Steinitz defense. C3 D6. This is regarded sometimes as a little bit on the passive side to play D6. Black's got a very specific idea. Of course he's blocked in his bishop, but often the bishop is fianchettoing. Here we see after D4, White is immediately threatening D5. We have bishop D7. And now a kind of discouragement for the whole G6 plan. Shirov plays kind of a surprising move, H4. And when you play a move like this, I'm pretty sure it gets most people out of their book, because it's not the standard sort of move. The standard sort of move is just castling, letting Black get on with knight G6, and we would get this sort of position. Black doesn't actually have to fianchetto the bishop. This is an alternative plan actually, and that should be okay for Black. White's got a space advantage, but it's okay. It's been played quite a lot before. But here, okay, H4 because it's kind of new territory. H6. Yeah, if G6, engines suggest H5 with a slight advantage to White. Nothing wrong with this for White. And H5 is undesirable in this particular position. If Black plays H5, then here, this is annoying, this position after bishop G5, because that is an awkward congestion there. So no, the queen supports A4, there's no problem there. So this is slightly better for White as well. Okay, so after H4 we see actually H6, H5. So White's trying to get a grip, it seems, on the light squares and inhibit Black's natural development. Knight G8, yeah, it looks a little bit odd to play that. Knight G8, a retreating move. D5, Knight CE7. The bishops look at each other here, but White carries on with C4 as if it's a kind of King's Indian style position. B5, Black is trying to generate some queenside play. White actually, Shirov just played bishop C2, doesn't mind dropping that pawn temporarily. He's pretty certain to get it back. Now if he did take on B5, this could be activating Black's pieces a little bit. After A takes bishop C2, Black should be fine here. The rook's been activated. There's no problems really for Black except for this awkward development which needs to be solved still. But no, we see bishop C2. Okay, now F5, very aggressive on this side of the board, trying to disrupt White's center a bit. Now a non-stereotypical move is played here by Shirov. I wonder if you can guess it actually for light square control if I give you 5 seconds. Very interesting move. So 5 seconds, you might want to pause the video. What would you play here with White if you were Shirov? Okay, very interesting. Knight H4, putting more pressure on light squares. Ideally, White wants to exchange off the light square bishops, of course, and then trench the knight on E6 in the ideal extreme. We see F4 here. If F takes E4, this position is going to be kind of nice for White when White starts picking back the pawns. Okay, so f4 g3, just trying to undermine black's pawn chain immediately. There's a very interesting aspect to this. G3, there's alternatives to G3, quieter alternatives, less violent, like knight d2, and white should be okay after knight d2. This is okay. That's fine. Say king f7 there. Okay, but we see this more violent g3, so if there's any king f7, white's trying to blast open the lines. His bishops are ready for action here. Black took here, and now not f takes g3, that's not the idea. The idea is really to blast open the lines. f4. Now if f takes g, then this position here, black should be okay. Okay, so we see this f4. Now possibly black, probably the best move it seems, might be just e takes f4 here. And you might think, why would that be a good move? This position, let's have a quick look at this position. Even though it looks as though white's blasting black off the board, moves like queen b8 give an idea that actually black might have some dark square play emerging with things like queen b6 or queen a7 for some dark square play, as long as the black king isn't getting mated. There's also like pressure down the b file here of taking on c4. So okay, it might have been a good idea to take on f4, but actually we get knight f6, f takes, bishop g4, an in-between move, not recapturing the pawn on e5. If the normal recapture, white does stand just a little bit better here in any case, and white's got extra central pawn mobility. So this move was put in between bishop g4. Then we get queen d3. Now this is a little bit tricky actually for black. You might think surely black has to take on e5. Black played what looks to be a kind of strange move fundamentally. This looks strange for a top 20 world player to play, but black played knight takes h5, and you might think this is crazy. Surely this is crazy, because isn't like e6, which is as played, like a fierce pawn wedge in the heart of black's position? Why would black want this position? Black had an incredibly tactical idea in relation to his g3 pawn. I mean, seriously tactical idea in this position, which doesn't quite work. Now before we get into this, what if black had played d takes e5 here? Well, queen takes g3, black is basically sacrificing this pawn potentially. For example here, queen takes e5, and this is a slight advantage to white. So black maybe was keen to try and keep his g3 pawn as an attacking unit. This is a very, very tactical idea now, allowing this at e6. What black plays is actually knight g6. It looks crazy, and actually it does have a significant flaw to it. Possibly better was c6, trying to get to some dark square play like this with c6. For example, like this would be interesting. Okay, but yeah, we see this knight g6. So the knight's taken, and the idea is revealed. Queen f6. It's a double attack, threatening queen f2 checkmate and queen takes knight. So yeah, if e5, let's put this on the board. Queen f2 is actually checkmate. So the bishop covers the escape square there. And if the knight, say, goes here, knight takes f4. This is still okay for white after queen takes g3. It's better for white. Two pieces are attacked. So even this position, even if the check happens, apparently this is okay for white. There's not too much damage being done here. White's still got that formidable pawn wedge. Okay, but an even better move was found after queen f6. Can you spot what Shirov played? A really strong, super strong tactical move, which I guess must have been missed. It's a really powerful refutation, actually. And when you play through this game, you know, you kind of take all this stuff for granted, but for this to be seen at the board, it's a really cruel, crushing refutation move of this temporary piece sack. Really cruel. Can you see what white plays? 5 seconds. You might want to pause the video. Pardon me. Okay, queen f1. And the idea is for white to sacrifice a piece. Not only is he not holding on to the knight, he's prepared. Maybe I shouldn't have said, but black played bishop f3. Can you see what the idea is after queen takes g6? I've given a slight clue. What does white play here, which black would be finished, basically? White to execute black in this position. So this wasn't put on the board, this variation. 5 seconds. Okay, this would be crushing e5, offering the bishop. Because if queen takes, queen f7 check, and queen d7 is checkmate using that aggressive pawn wedge. It's not just pretty, it's dangerous having a pawn on e6. And if we have a look at this just for one moment more, the queen has got no squares. Bishop f5, bishop takes f5, and it's with check as well. We can't even play g2. It's with check. The queen's checkmated there. So bishop f3 was played. So still playing temporarily a piece down. Now g2 is the threat for black. Rook g1. No. This is unfortunate now. Queen takes g6. There's queen takes f3. We have bishop e7. Yeah, if g2, by the way, rook takes g2, protects the knight on g6. This position is nice for white, winning, really. So we have bishop e7, offering the rook. By the way, yeah, in passing, it should be noticed that the rook's also now attacked and didn't move. If rook g8, knight d2, hitting the bishop, say bishop g4, this position is very pleasant for white because there's still an echo of this e5 tactic. White can even play just this, not carrying him out the knight again, because of the same sort of tactic with e5 and queen f7. And if takes here, then that is mating on d7. So this is diabolical for black. Can't take here again because of this recurring tactical idea of queen f7 to d7. This pawn wedge, especially that pawn, is a troublemaker for black. Big troublemaker here. A fawn pawn, you could say. You could say one of my favourite things is the fawn pawn. It is a fawn pawn game. But okay, it doesn't matter if the rook is moved. It's pretty hopeless by this stage. Yeah, after knight d2, you know. Okay, so we have knight takes rook. It's hopeless. Queen d4. White just plays rook g2 here. Loads of material up. Stopped any nonsense with g2 and bishop h4 check, which black may have banked on as a last ditch resource. Last ditch resource. Let's have a quick look. So rook g2, the game ended here. So g2 and bishop h4 might be black's last significant threat available. Now if bishop takes here with this, in fact we don't even have to take here, we can play queen f7 check and we're still mating like this. Queen g8 check, mating. Don't even have to take on g2. Yeah, so that's not good. Bishop takes g2 because of queen f7, queen g8 mating. Now if say queen f6, bishop d1, I mean white's loads of material up here, so yeah, this is just totally material up, nothing going on. Knight f4, let's show knight f4. as a dangerous attempt, semi-dangerous. Now here, actually, queen takes f3 is fine. Not indulging, even in bishop takes f4. Yeah, just queen takes f3. It doesn't really matter anymore. Yeah, this kind of thing just whites tons of material up, as you can see. Yeah, it was just a big loss of material. The whole knight g6 by Richard Rapport, tactical moves. I think even if you're like in the world top 20, it seems tactical moves, because we're human, it's like entering some sort of lottery. You never really know if there's a hole somewhere in what you've seen. We're not computers. We might have holes in our analysis. A big, gigantic, glaring hole was exposed that actually, after queen f1, white could sacrifice a piece and force a checkmate sequence because of that massive trump card, the form pawn. Yeah, things are bound to sometimes backfire. If you've got really aggressive form pawns, that will help stop your opponent's tactics, it seems. Well, in this case, it stopped them working, basically. The knight g6 just didn't work. I hope you got something from this. Comments, questions, likes, appreciated. Thanks very much.